Hey, Alvin, what's your favorite sport?
Football.
You
Football.
sure?
I'm sure.
Anybody that knows you knows that's your favorite sport.
I'm in. Now, I do love some basketball, do love a little
Okay.
baseball, but I
All right.
love football.
But you love football. Well, then you're going to love our next guest. Hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of Making It. My name is Kenan Cooley, and I am with the guy next door.
I'm right next door, Alvin
Right next door.
Chia. Hey, everybody, welcome to Making It.
Hey, Alvin, what's your favorite sport?
Football. Football.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Anybody that knows you knows that's your favorite sport.
I'm in. Now, I do love some basketball, do love a little
Okay.
baseball, but I
right.
love football.
But you love football. Well, then you're going to love our next guest because
Okay.
he, among other things, has been a reporter for football for quite some time.
Ah, he's the man on the inside. I like that.
Yes. He has some inside scoops that I'm sure you will love to hear about, and some other things that are non-NFL, if you don't mind. We're going to talk about a couple things on the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everybody gets to just do one thing. You got to be well-rounded to be able to bring it for the one thing.
That is, and he is very well-rounded. He's been in the business for a long time, and he is one of those people who have done a great job of making it from many angles.
I love it. All right, let's talk to this.
We're going to talk to Mr. Lou Holder. Welcome, Lou, to our show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. I was telling Alvin how great you have been. I've known you for years, and the things that you have done over the years have been very impressive. And some of the things that I know about you, some things actually I don't even know I've known you for over 10 years. So tell me a little bit tell the viewers at least about what you've done.
Well, I've been in broadcasting for close to 25 years now. Got my start at Temple University in grad school, getting my master's degree in sports management from Temple. Got my undergrad from Rutgers in communications and sociology, and had some stops along the way in Hartford, Connecticut for a couple of years, and been in Washington, D.C. since 2002. Just covered all sports. That's where I met you, Keenan, and just been covering the sports landscape, both local and regional and national and international, and now I ventured into teaching too. Now I teach at Prince George's Community College. I teach communications there, and I also teach at Bishop McNamara High School in the Forestville area. So just doing a little teaching, giving back, teaching students the right way, how to do this broadcasting thing, and while still doing stuff for radio and television and things of that nature. So the landscape of communication has changed so much that you got to be able to do multiple things well. So that's my multiple hustle, and that's kind of the short of it for me.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lou. We're so glad you're here on Making It. You said a key word, the hustle. So many things have changed. Is it still important, the educational aspect, or is it all about networking now, or is it about, what is it about to make it, truly to make it?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely am a proponent of it's not just what you know, it's who you know and who knows you.
True.
Internship. I don't think there's a job that I've gotten that I can say that was directly tied to my education. It's either I knew somebody or I was involved with an organization that knew somebody to make well-rounded individuals. So
sure.
Anybody can impress you with a piece of paper from a university, but do you have the skills to pay the bills? So skills to pay the bills, but a network will get you work.
Right.
So I think there's still a little education involved because obviously you need to get that foundation on how to work the equipment, how to understand And some of that is best done by professionals who are in the industry. But
Yeah.
a lot of people do it on the fly, do it in internships and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the landscape, the percentage has changed from
Mm-hmm.
you got to go to school to be considered legit.
Yeah.
That percentage has gone way down. Right now, I mean, the advent of the phone and the podcast, you don't have to have a formal education to do that. You just know how
That's
to
true.
It's true.
turn your camera on, and you are
Yeah.
educated enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Some of these students are performing quality level stuff on their phone,
Mm-hmm.
and they've never stepped in a classroom at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that people are finding ways to make this thing happen, and the having to go to a formal school of education, those days are gone. Those days are
Mm-hmm.
gone.
But do you think that some of the ways that the media is being presented matters too? Because I was talking to Alvin about that. That some of the things that formal trained people, as yourself and myself, were taught to do, people don't care about it anymore. Like they don't care about lower thirds. They don't care about perfect lighting. They don't care about certain presentations. Do you think that that's changed the way that media is being used and dispersed?
No, I disagree. I still think
Mm.
that I mean, at least the kids that I'm teaching, they need to know that the TV screen is in thirds, and the lower third
Mm.
is where you put the thing, put the people's names. They need to know the core ethics of journalism.
Mm-hmm.
Humanity and impartiality, and I mean all that stuff that's learned in classes. That kind of stuff is that will never go out of style.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting and how to white balance and things of that nature. What's a VOSOT? What's a SOT? What's TRT, the total runtime? I mean, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff is education that
Mm-hmm.
will never go out. Will never go out. But I'm just thinking a lot of people are picking this thing up.
On the fly.
Yeah, and these students and these people today, or young people today, have stuff that we never had, like
Mm-hmm.
Google.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, these students have no idea what a Dewey Decimal System is in a card catalog.
True.
You
Very
know,
true.
that's where we had to go get our
Right.
information.
So for you I guess as an educator and a industry professional, this new wave is frustrating to you because you put the work in and people are there that didn't, or is it exciting to you because there's so many opportunities more in the market now?
Um, I think there's more excitement than frustration, because I'm learning myself.
Sure.
Mm.
As I go along. I mean, the it's fascinating, the stuff that I'm learning. The new, it's like a continuing education class, to be quite honest. I'm
Yeah.
teaching the students, but I'm learning myself because I need to
From them,
still
yeah.
be I still need to be relevant in my field.
Right.
And the camera size have changed, the
Mm-hmm.
batteries have changed, the SIM cards have changed, all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff has changed. So while I'm teaching it, and I think what I do with my classes is that I augment what I teach by bringing in all of my friends who are
Mm-hmm.
in the industry to teach as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm doing a chapter on radio, I'll bring in one of my radio friends to be
Mm.
on a Zoom, and all the students can ask the radio person
Sure.
what they want. Then television comes around that. It's all about augmenting what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
um, with people that are in the industry. So
Mm-hmm.
the hours of drive time have changed.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be 6 to 9 in the morning. Now it's like a 7 to 10. I mean, things have changed, and only somebody who's in the industry will be able to tell you
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
what's going on. So I don't find it frustrating. I just find a different way
Yeah.
to more than one way to skin a cat. And the thing
Sure.
is, now if you don't keep up in any profession that you're doing, whether it's teaching or the actual craft that you're performing, if you don't keep up with the times, you're going to be unemployed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not even a whether I want to, I have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. This little thing right here, to me, has changed how people see what they can do. You mentioned earlier, because this now has 4K, which is crazy. It has HD in your hand, and I've seen some people doing films off of their iPhones at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have you felt like you had to up your tech game even more? I mean, maybe that wasn't, because you're basically doing at this point teaching, and you've done it in your previous jobs, more anchor and hosting and so forth. But did you find you had to really keep up on the tech side as well?
Yes and no. I mean, I have other people that do the tech stuff for me. I kind of get more into the that's the micro for me, the whole macro of the phone and how it's changing the way we communicate. That's what I try to tackle, which is people are becoming slowly addicted to these phones, so much they don't know how to communicate without them.
Right.
Right.
So I kind of I don't allow phones in my classroom.
Oh, wow.
I don't allow technology in my classroom.
Interesting.
Until I am ready to teach that chapter or what have you. I think it's what's eroded is people looking at you face to face in your eye, being able to shake your hand, being able to communicate with people, their nonverbals, listening versus hearing,
Right.
all the stuff that the phone has basically destroyed. It has had its benefits as far as technology. I mean, things like WhatsApp and relatives that I have all over this world, I can now just pick up the phone and I can see them in real time instead of writing a letter.
Sure.
And things of that nature. But as far as the way these students communicate, I mean, if I didn't take that phone away, I'd be looking at the top. I'd be looking at the top of their head the entire class.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think that the balance is gone. The balance is gone. People are so enamored with the phone that it's not only changed what we do, it's changed who we are.
Right.
And so I kind of deal with the macro level. To understand the micro, you have to understand the macro, and the way people communicate now has got to. What I'm teaching the new professionals that I have is that you got to be very, very observant with how people are communicating and what's good and what's bad.
So I wanted to ask you about the 600-pound gorilla, the NFL. I know you've had you work with them, you've represented teams, you've done all of that. Just the minutia of how you have to deal with that brand. When you're working with as a team, I believe you were a team reporter. Was it? Or was
Washington football team.
Washington football team. And there's an issue that comes up. Do you see yourself as a PR agent for the team, or do you look at it as I'm a journalist and I'm going to say this is the problem, this is the issue that needs to be dealt with?
Yeah. I don't work for the team, so I'm a beat reporter. I got to this market, started working for Fox, and then I worked for Comcast Sportsnet. And now I'm a freelancer. So I have my own platform called Holder Sports, where I can appear on anybody's TV station or radio station. But no, I'm not. I don't work for the team. That's a different. Those are different reporters. People who actually work for the team, they have their spin. But when I go in there, I am asking hard questions, or I am dealing with sidebar stories that are not always pretty.
Well, yeah, that's what I was leading to. The John Gruden story that broke recently. Did that blow your wig back, or do you like, oh, I had heard about that, or I knew about that, and the Colin Kaepernicks and all of this stuff? How much of this stuff has been just simmering for years, and no one has stepped forward, or you didn't have the freedom to step forward, or it wasn't exposed yet? How did that reveal, and how do you deal with it as it comes out?
there's nothing new under the sun with the NFL. It is what it is.
Mm.
You know, it's a very exclusive club, and the same mess that John Gruden was doing, Robert Kraft was doing a couple of years earlier. Owners and you know, none of these owners and these coaches. I mean, honestly, athletics as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, and I teach my kids that, not only my students but my own kids. I was like, these fan is short for fanatic.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes.
These people. I mean, I like what they do,
Hmm.
and I like the skill level that they have.
Hmm.
But I'm not disappointed when Tiger Woods cheats on his wife or
Right.
whatever. I don't know him like that, right?
Right. Right.
I'm not. I don't. You know. I'm not really. You know, my wig is not blown back.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when John Gruden says something, and is connected to something that his brother, when his brother Jay was the coach at that team for a long, long period of
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, that it's just frustrating for me that, as a person of color,
Hmm.
now that this Washington football team has a general manager and a president, all of the same skin color as I do, that
Hmm.
now there's still this mess that's still going on.
Hmm.
So, um, you know, the owner is who he is,
Right.
and the thing is, they protect their own,
Right.
Yeah.
which was very interesting to me, where, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders said, "I want to see what's up. You made me get rid of my coach. What's under?" So it's almost
Right.
like, whoa.
Right. 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 Right.
That's almost like a Sopranos episode.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
when somebody goes off the reservation, I was like,
Right.
but 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 the Davis family has always been like that. You know,
Yeah.
Al
Yeah.
Davis he didn't care. So they made, you know, this coach that they paid over $100 million
Hmm.
to,
Hmm.
is now gone. So, I basically said on social media that the NFL is the best reality show on television.
Right. Right. Right.
Well, and
Right.
I think that, anything, but I think sports does sometimes get a higher rating of, I don't want to say they try to hide more. They can hide more because people care about it so much.
Hmm.
So sometimes,
Well, it
as
seems like they
Albert
would
kind of
have the
said,
power to make people hide stuff. You know.
yeah, but
Well,
I think
I
that they
mean,
can get away with more things because even
honestly,
socially, they just don't. They
I,
just don't have to answer. It seems like too as much.
honestly, to be quite honest, let's be real. The same stuff is going on in politics, and the same stuff
Hmm.
is going on in
Right,
entertainment too. I mean, you
right.
know, they have a show that comes on after the nightly news called Entertainment Tonight or whatever,
Hmm.
that block, and there's always something going on. You know,
Yeah.
Hmm.
so sports, entertainment, and politics, it's all
and
one. It's all
and
one
in
to
the
me.
churches now.
And
There's a
true,
lot of stuff that's starting to come out. It's like, whoa,
true.
Well,
I
but
So
didn't know
but
so you
that.
have
as
you have
someone who
you have to
doesn't,
have, you have to have a moral compass as a reporter and
Sure.
yeah,
as a journalist, to know that you have to have, um, impartiality. You
Yeah.
have to be independent. You have to show humanity.
Hmm.
You know, if I'm doing an interview with both of you, and I don't like one of you,
Hmm.
me as a journalist, I have to give each one of you equal time, because
Sure.
hmm,
that is the one of the core ethics of what we do.
right.
Hmm.
So, I don't um, I don't agree with everything that, Barack Obama did, or
Hmm.
Joe Biden, or whatever. So, um, you know, just because I'm black doesn't mean that I agree with everything the black man
Sure.
does,
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
or the black woman does, or,
Hmm.
even the athletes. You know,
Hmm.
Hmm.
you got to tell the story. Your job
Yeah.
is to tell stories,
Well, and
and,
Right.
so let me ask you about that, Lou. So, how do you know what is appropriate? And I'm sure as you research and meet people and find out situations, you got 10, the amount of information that you have. Maybe necessary to the story is 5. Do you say I'm gonna tell I'm gonna tell it, or you were like, I'm just gonna share the information? In other words, I'm sure you can blow people out of the sky, you know.
I do. I do.
And
I
so,
do.
how do you say what's enough?
I do have things in my Rolodex and in my phone that, numbers that, I mean, not everybody does have, but that's the reason why I have those is because people have learned to trust me over
Trust me,
time.
true,
Mm.
good,
So I never go with anything unless I have three sources.
mm,
And going back to the whole adage, there's three sides to a story: your side, my story, and the truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
So if three people collaborate on something, I might go with it then. But I mean, there's just certain things that are not. Again, there's minutia and there's macro and then there's micro stuff.
hmm,
Finding how many people somebody slept with doesn't matter to me, but the fact is, if it's tied back to something that I have to talk about,
right,
then I will do so. I mean, it's
yeah,
all the humanity of it, because we are, no one here is perfect.
hmm.
Yeah.
It's just that your stuff hasn't been caught yet.
Do you find yourself having to choose, I guess even as a Christian African American, and just a reporter, which side you want to take? Because sometimes maybe it's a little bit too dicey for what you want to cover as a Christian, or maybe it's something African American, but you feel like if you talk about too much of that subject, you'll get put in a little box. You
Right.
find you have to choose that.
At times, I mean, I'm a journalist, so
Mm.
who I am and what I believe is not part of the story.
Mm.
I have to put that aside. I mean, there's just certain core ethics that I won't do. I'm not hiding in people's bushes to. I mean,
Kind of story.
that's not
Gotcha,
something.
journalism.
Yeah.
That's not something that my faith would allow me to do.
Hmm.
But the word does say to do things in decency and in order.
Right,
And if it's in decency and in order, then I have, whatever Bible, whatever scripture that I have, um, to go on. I will confess to you that every morning I wake up and before I walk out the door, I just ask the Lord to guide my steps and order my
hmm,
Mm.
steps, because
hmm,
there are certain things that I don't know how to handle.
right,
And once I sit back and I pray on it, and I just have to handle whatever comes my way with it. So when you are a public figure,
hmm,
there's going to be
Mm.
somebody who does not like you.
hmm,
Yeah.
So I have to be careful,
hmm,
because I do have a family, and I do have
Mm.
you know young adults in my midst. So I'm
hmm,
not. Again, I am not Stephen A. Smith. I am
hmm,
not Tony Kornheiser or Michael Wilbon. I am not a shock jock. I am not a analyst. I am a
hmm,
reporter.
hmm,
So I don't. The Shannon Sharps and the people of that ilk that have these
hmm.
radio talk shows, half the stuff that they talk about, they really don't
Don't
believe
believe.
in.
Yeah,
But
it's
but
just a
before ratings, they are now caught into this game where they have
right.
Mm-hmm.
to sensationalize
Yeah,
things, and it's
sound
sad
bites, sound
because
bites.
at one
Yeah.
point all of these guys used to be really, really good reporters.
Yeah. I
Hmm,
think it's gotten
But
lost in
if
the sauce a little bit.
but if I'm going to pay you to be an angry black man and you go
Mm.
ahead and bite the bait, that again is something that my Christian ethics would not let me do.
hmm,
So
Yeah.
I would have to turn down an opportunity
hmm.
that would eventually have me um, putting down individuals. That's
Right.
not
Mm-hmm.
something that I
Compromise who
do.
you are. So at the end of the day, um, do you find yourself? I backstory. I used to have a brother-in-law who was a police officer, and he would tell me that generally he looks at humanity now and he's suspicious of everybody. Does that happen for you as a reporter? Are you generally cynical when you talk to people, or are you uplifted because you're dealing with the best of the most successful in society? How was it? What does it do to your affect?
So again, my base is my faith.
Okay.
So I'm not, I don't see the worst or the best in anybody. I see, God will reveal to me how to handle that specific individual, and
Sure.
he's been right on point.
Mm.
I don't get caught in trends. I don't get caught into the latest this and the latest that. I don't. I just my base is what I believe and my Christian values, and so I don't get too high and I don't get too low, because we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. So at the end of the day, even the most revered person, I can't really put them on a pedestal more than my God, because
Right.
then they become an idol.
Right.
True.
And that's what's happening to a lot of people, that
Yeah.
they are chasing after idols, and they're not only athletes,
Right.
they're mentors or whatever. Anything that you put before God, and before your own walk with your Lord and Savior, for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that's a dangerous place to be. Even my own pastor,
Hmm.
man will let you down,
Right.
Mm.
and just because he has a clergy degree, or went to Yale or whatever, all man will let you down. So if you go into it with that particular mindset, nothing's really going to hurt you into
Right.
that regard. There's
Right.
levels, as you know, there's levels of the hurt.
Yeah.
My wife and my kids and my family, that's, anything else, it's like, oh wow, I'm sad to hear that you wild out like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Let's keep it
you
moving.
know
Yeah.
let's keep it moving, because again, there's nothing new under the sun. And
Right.
I try to tell my students that as well. When you are given a press credential, on the back of your press credential, it it prohibits you from doing things that other people can do.
Mm.
Mm.
I can't go into a locker room and ask people for their autographs.
Mm.
Mm.
Uh, and I can't go into the locker room and ask to take selfies with people and stuff like that.
Right.
My credential allows me to get into spaces that are very, very unique,
Hmm.
because I'm there to work.
Right.
I'm there
Right.
to do my job. And after my job is over, I like not talking about my job. There is a point where I don't want to talk about sports. I'm so much more than the sports that I cover. There's times where I just want to be a dad, and I just
Right.
want to be a
Mm.
husband, and I don't, I want to talk about other things besides, you know, um, the name change, um, and and
Right.
and why Eric Bieniemy didn't get a job when Urban Meyer did. I mean, there's so many things that. But again, I have now become a public figure, so um, I also run into situations that um, when somebody meets me, it could be the first time they're ever meeting
Sure.
somebody, as in my area. So I don't want to be the person be like, well, that Lou Holder, he was just such a rude
He's a
behind.
jerk.
So you can't really have off days when you get to the level that I am. So
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta put it on every day when I walk
Hmm.
out, knowing that somebody's going to recognize me, and somebody's probably going to want to talk sports. Somebody's going to want me to appear on their show. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I still have a platform after all these years, and people actually respect, Keenan included, actually respect what I do, because expectancy of a reporter, is
Especially
cut
in
off
that
with,
market. Yeah, that's
right,
really competitive.
when you get older, they do push you out for a newer model.
Hmm.
Mm.
So when you have staying power, you're just thankful that, one, you did it the right way,
Hmm.
and two, people are watching you, and people are actually rooting you on, because I represent a lot more than myself.
Sure.
So again, a lot of people in my business sadly have no scruples and are just doing
Hmm.
stuff for themselves. I don't operate that way. And that keeps me grounded when all hell breaks loose, with the sports, with politics, with entertainment. At this point, it kind of just makes me laugh because I'm like, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite interview that impacted you, or part of your career that you feel like you gave, or you were able to impact someone else the most?
That's a loaded question. I think that um, I think the early mentors that I had in my business impacted me the most. The late Stuart Scott, James
Awesome.
Brown,
Yeah.
David Aldridge, Jason Jackson, um, Mr. Burwell, who passed away from the St. Louis area. I was always told early in my career to get with some good mentors, and I've had some really, really good ones.
Awesome. Awesome.
Interviews that changed me. I did an interview with Chadwick Boseman before he did
Wow.
42, the Jackie Robinson interview. This is before he blew up, and he just
Oh, wow.
struck me as somebody that was very, very beyond his years.
Yeah.
So to see him take off the way he did, and to know even the way he died, knowing that he was still helping people and did all that
Yeah.
stuff while he was
Yeah.
dying. Looking back, that has to be one of my more memorable interviews. Interviewing Sean Taylor, the Washington football team safety. He came in as a very, very raw individual, could play safety like no other. But I saw him grow up. I saw him become a man, and he actually died saving his family. And a lot of people, because of his past, thought that it was some type of thuggery and he was involved with something. No, he was actually protecting. And recently, they retired his number. And I got to see his daughter and his wife and his fiance and his father. And his father Pedro said something to me that almost brought me to tears. That now I can say to myself that I did this thing right. He said that Sean didn't trust a lot of people, Lou, but he trusted you.
Oh, that's
Wow.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
And I have on my Instagram a picture of him actually doing a post-game interview, and I said this is going to go down as one of my favorites, not because it was an interview, but because of the rare nature of the interview. He did not like the media. He thought the media, basically, from what we've been talking about the last half hour, he thought the media was all corrupt, and he didn't really like the media. Because I asked the Lord to order my steps every day.
Direct your paths, amen.
I approached this man in a whole different level.
Yeah.
And while other people he would not talk to, he always talked to me. And apparently he must have told his father that, because his father made it a point to tell me that Sean didn't trust a lot of people, but he trusted me.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
And so that's validation for me that I've done this thing right.
Good.
And I have actually so I think the Sean Taylor, the Chadwick Boseman,
I love that Stuart Scott connection too. He was such a great guy.
Yeah,
such an amazing guy.
He taught me how to be myself. And he also told me, no, however big I get, don't ever forget to give back.
Yeah. Good.
And so I was working for the NBC affiliate in Hartford, Connecticut. And obviously ESPN is right down the street.
There.
So for 2 years when I was in Hartford, Connecticut, we just became good friends. Me and my wife, and him and his wife at the time, we became a good friends and kindred spirits. So when I left to come down to Washington, D.C., we always kept in touch.
Awesome.
He would guide me along the way. But I think even a bigger influence in my life, it's like Stewart started it, but then he almost kind of passed the baton off to James Brown. James Brown is he's my rock. He's a Christian just like me. We are both doing this thing under the Christian banner. There's a couple of us out there. Chris Broussard is another one. There's a couple of people out there who are not afraid of the gospel of Jesus Christ,
Right.
and will say that anytime they get a chance.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that I look up to, and I talk to James Brown, JB, like once a week.
That's beautiful.
We keep in touch. I encourage him. He encourages me. We read scriptures together. He is that type of individual. The guy you see on the air is the guy you see off the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's kind of a loaded answer to your question, Keenan, but those are kind of the highlights for me. James Brown, Stuart Scott, and the interviews of Chadwick Boseman, and things of that nature. Chantel.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, and I really appreciate that through it all, that you have the core values of Christianity as your leading, the way you lead your life, and that matters. And I think that that's why you've been as successful as you have. So I really want to thank you for your time, and thank you for your leading example as a Christian man, as an African-American man, and in this very sometimes immoral space, you chose morality. So I've known you for a long time, so I appreciate that.